Phil, I believe we have that surveillance video queued up again. This is right on 2nd Avenue, and this time we have backed it up prior to the explosion, because it does catch the explosion, but you can hear the repeated recordings. And guys, I'm not sure if we have that. We all want to just be quiet and listen carefully to that recording, which police, like you said, Phil, confirming now was coming from the RV. Let's roll it.
This area must be evacuated now. This area must be evacuated now. This area must be evacuated now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now.
And then there is the aftermath. It's just absolutely chilling. It's like, it is like something you'd see out of a movie.
As long as they don't go to the 2nd Avenue side, should be okay. That's so weird. That's like something out of a movie.
Like The Purge?
Yeah.
Like The Purge?
Yeah.
Like The Purge?
Yeah.
Like The Purge?
Yeah.
Evacuate now.
Keep watching the videos.
Until a roll call is completed.
Their lives.
Are you guys okay? Okay.
No, I guess.
Where's your car? Okay, go to your car. What's going on?
3 days later.
Developing story now. Authorities say it could take weeks until they determine the motive behind the Christmas Day bombing in Nashville. The bomber has now been identified as 63-year-old Anthony Warner. He died in the blast. Investigators say DNA from the scene matched DNA from a glove and a hat found inside a vehicle he owned. Nashville police posted this video of the explosion. There's a bomb. It said, "Evacuate now, there is a bomb." The blast injured at least 3 people, damaged dozens of buildings, and knocked out wireless service in and around the city. In a moment, we'll talk to former FBI profiler Clint Van Zandt. But first, let's go to NBC's Morgan Chesky in Nashville now. Morgan, tell us what you've learned about Warner.
Yeah, quite a bit, Contessa. Investigators sharing some of the details that have come out in just the past 24 hours since they named him as the man they believe responsible for the Nashville bombing. And important to note, the only individual tied to it at this time. And we are just a mere blocks away from where that bomb went off early Christmas morning inside that RV that police say Warner drove overnight, parked, and then was likely inside when the bomb went off. Now, I had a chance to speak with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation earlier today about what led them to him as their prime suspect. And they said it came down to 2 key pieces of evidence: tissue recovered at this scene that they were then able to match with DNA found in a hat and gloves
Development on Saturday. New York officials revealed at a news conference here in the city that a hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
Came down to two key pieces of evidence, tissue recovered at this scene that they were then able to match with DNA found in a hat and gloves inside a car that Anthony Quinn Warner had given to a woman for free some months ago. That combined with the fact that tips were called in identifying the RV from the scene to an RV seen parked in Warner's backyard.
Of the home from May of 2019 shows RV that appears similar to the one used in this explosion.
Investigators are still looking for Warner's motivation behind the attack.
He was not on our radar.
In a police report obtained by NBC News, a woman described as Anthony Quinn Warner's girlfriend told authorities in August 2019 that he was building bombs in his now infamous RV. At the time, the girlfriend's attorney telling police even more, saying Warner frequently talks about the military and bomb making, adding he knows what he is doing and is capable of making a bomb. Police then went to Warner's home where they spotted his RV. The report says officers made several unsuccessful attempts to speak with him, but witnessed no evidence of a crime. The FBI also looked into Warner and came up empty.
Sources tell ABC News investigators are looking at a theory that Warner may have been motivated, at least in part, by a paranoia over 5G cell technology. Conspiracy theories falsely allege 5G networks can weaken the immune system, among other things. And intelligence agencies warned earlier this year that threats against 5G communications infrastructure are on the rise.
Everyone knows that his father did work for AT&T, and everyone knows that his father did work for AT&T, and everyone knows that his father did work for AT&T. Interviews are still being conducted to determine if that plays in any whatsoever into the motive.
The New York Times reporting Warner told his ex-girlfriend he had cancer and gave her his car. And a neighbor telling ABC News just last week, Warner said Nashville and the world, quote, is never going to forget me.
No additional information on Warner came in until his bomb went off.
I leave that front door with my kids in our stroller every day.
Noelle Rasmussen, who shot this video after the blast, still can't believe how close it was to her home.
And such disturbing developments. And you mentioned that police actually went to Warner's home at one point. What more do we know about that visit?
Yeah, Kristen, officers made that visit to Warner's home. And then around that same time, we know that officers with the Hazardous Devices Unit, which looks into bombs, made a phone call to Warner's attorney and came away with two takeaways. Number one, Warner not a fan of police. And number two, his attorney advised his client not to give police access to that now infamous RV.